Hello, I'm Richard Ridge for Broadway World. The award-winning musical Come From Away, which has become a worldwide phenomenon, was filmed on Broadway in front of a live audience including 9/11 survivors and frontline workers. It'll premiere on Apple TV Plus on Friday, September 10th, and I caught up with the cast and creators.
Hedwig aside to have a bit of a ceremony.
Let's make these people honorary Newfoundlanders. Now there's a solemn old tradition for admission or audition to transition from a come from away.
To be a Newfoundlander.
The only other way, at any rate, is pass away and pray to fate and wait to reincarnate.
As a Newfoundlander, hey, hey, come on inside. Nothing ventured, nothing tried.
Only a couple of people cried.
You'll be a Newfoundlander, hey, hey, sit down right here. You'll feel better in a year.
Try to ignore your doubts and fears.
And you'll be a Newfoundlander.
Now we need a couple of volunteers. Who wants to become a Newfoundlander?
Right here.
Good man. Who else?
I have no idea why I put up my hand, and Kevin's like,
Oh my God, are you serious? Oh my God, you are serious.
yes, I'm serious. Don't do it if you don't want to.
I won't.
Where you from, buddy?
Los Angeles.
L.A. Who else?
Us! Woo! We want to be Newfoundlanders.
All right, where you folks from?
Texas.
Texas. What part of Texas you from, buddy?
Oh, no,
I'm from Texas. He's from England.
Well, wait. Now, how does that work?
What?
How does what work?
Well, how does your marriage work? With you being in England or in Texas?
Oh, we're not married.
Oh, I'm sorry. I assumed you were married.
No.
Well, would you like to be?
Well, why not?
Diane had had 2 beers by then, so it was probably the alcohol talking.
I've never had more than 1 beer at a time before, so it's probably the alcohol talking.
I went and got us 2 more beers.
I have to tell you, it is so great to see the two of you, and I have fallen in love with Come From Away all over again. I've watched it 3 times already.
Oh my God.
So I just want to tell you, you two couldn't be there for the filming, could you?
So we couldn't be in the bubble with the actors, but being in the audience, the day of the audience was kind of amazing, and getting to line up on the way into the theater and going back into a theater in the middle of the pandemic was extraordinary. It was really such a gift.
Yeah, Irene, tell me, what was that like that day? Like lining up with people and going in?
Okay, so you know what? I wasn't there. Like so many women during the pandemic, I was home with the child. We had just gotten our vaccines, and so I was with her, but like totally cheering these guys on from afar. But then David can tell you like all about it.
Yeah, I got to go there. I was I was okay the day after the vaccination, so I got to go in. It was amazing being on this. I mean, just being on the street lining up. The actors passed by us and everyone started cheering for them, and they all burst into tears and we all burst into tears. And then getting to be in the theater, it was a relatively small audience because it's a pandemic and we had to be safe, but also there was giant cameras everywhere and a lot of equipment around us. And so it was a smaller audience, but the noise that came out of that audience, like just from the first, when the actors came on stage, and you could see it in their faces that they were waiting to hear from an audience. This was people who loved theater and loved the show and wanted to come back, but also first responders, people who had never seen the show. It felt like it blew the roof off the place. I don't think I've ever heard a louder audience. It was so good to be back.
You know, this is such a perfect musical. You know, I've seen it numerous times on Broadway, you know that, and I've fallen in love with it over and over and over. But there's now watching it with what we're going through now, there's such a kindness and a heartfelt and everything else. Like, what's it like for both of you? Like, you've seen the finished product, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Many times.
Yeah, perfect. So what went through your minds the first time you watched the film version of this, and what it means to an audience now, what it means to the world?
It's just beautiful, you know, and since, you know, I wasn't there running any of the cameras or anything, I can actually say, and without worrying about being un-Canadian, that it was stunning, you know, like it was surprising to see, you know, it had been so long, and to see it, you know, on the screen, and just capturing what happens on stage so well. But then in addition, you get the close-ups, you get from above, you get from behind, the wooden slats at the back of the theater. It was just wonderful. It was just, and just to hear everybody, you know what I mean? To hear everyone singing together again, you know, not on our, you know, tiny echo playing a cast album was just, it was just fabulous.
It's been such a joy to see the show. I mean, we've seen it a million times. To see it in a new way, from every angle. I mean, Chris had 10 cameras to play with, from above, from the side, and to zoom in through the actors on stage, and you know, it made it all fresh and real for us. And at the same time, we were able, you know, for anyone who knows the show, who's seen it a number of times, we were able to say, there's this detail you probably never saw, and we get to see it really close. And you know, for anyone who's seen the show from the back of the house, you get to see Jen Colella's face when she's singing "Me in the Sky." Like, it's really, it's new, it's fresh, and it feels like we get to retell the story in a brand new medium.
You must have so many incredible memories of the journey you've been on with the show. Would you just share a memory, each of you, for our Broadway World audience, a come from away memory for each of you?
I loved being in the audience in Gander, and just having like the people behind us, you know, everyone who was like, you know, like, I put those out of order signs on the phone, and, you know, like, and I was the person who called from the SBC, you know, it was just that just reminding ourselves that, oh no, this wonderful place and these wonderful people are real. It was just one of the best things.
Yeah. David.
I've been thinking a lot about the 20th anniversary approaching, and I remember meeting a chaplain from the FDNY right outside our theater, and she had come to see the show, and she'd been wrestling with, there'd been a lot of funerals in the 9/11 community, and what she told us was that the show reminded her that I think she was having a hard time digging herself out of the negative. And of course, you know, it was negative, but what she said the show helped her do was find the positive in the numbers of lives that had been saved by the people they were commemorating in those funerals. And so I think for me that's coming back again is within a really dark time, there's ways that we can find the positive stories of response to tragedies, of kindnesses, and those will remind us that the world is good and that there's hope in the world, and that'll bring us back.
On the northeast tip of North America is a town called Gander.
September 11th, 2001.
Over 200 planes getting diverted.
Even with all the hotels in town, we've got no room. With thousands of passengers arriving at any minute, the town is asking for help with, well, anything you can do.
We barely know where we are.
Just freaking out. I wish I was home.
Thank you for shopping at Walmart. Would you like to come back to my house for a shower? Hello? Yes, it's me.
Dad, I'm okay.
We honor what was lost, but we also commemorate what we found.